Thanks, guys. Today we have an interview with two women who work at The Retreat, which is an organization here in East Hampton based. For over 30 years, they provided safety, shelter, and support for victims of domestic abuse. And we're going to be talking today in these times of COVID about sheltering in place and how that's not always safe for many people and what you can do about it. Joining us today is the Executive Director of The Retreat, Loretta Davis, as well as the Director of Counseling at The Retreat, Regina Mysliborski. Welcome both to you. Thank you for joining us at Facts at 5. Loretta, I'm going to start with you.
Thank you for having us.
According to the CDC, about 1 in 4 women and nearly 1 in 10 men have experienced contact sexual violence, physical violence, stalking by an intimate partner in their lifetime. It's obviously a very serious situation. And now with these shelter-at-home mandates, we see an uptick in New York State, 30% and more phone calls. In Suffolk County, we're reading that there's an uptick in domestic violence, 8%. Tell us, first of all, about The Retreat in normal times, what services you offer, and then we will talk about how this has changed during this COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes, normal times, right? So as I say, The Retreat's been around since 1987, and we provide all the services that one would want. So we have shelter, and then we have all the direct services. So we have counselors and advocates. We have financial empowerment. We help people go to court. We have case managers. So, and also what we have is the shelter, which is really important because people need a roof over their head before they can start over. So that's what we normally do. We haven't missed a beat. I mean, we've continued to provide all those services. Starting on the 16th of March, we really started to go remotely and stagger our services at the shelter. And it's been really tough because a lot of our clients aren't able to reach out, or a lot of survivors can't reach out because they're trapped at home.
Right. I want to talk about that. Regina, I know as the Director of Counseling there that you have to field a lot of these, calls. Tell us what it means that the retreat is open, so to speak, because I know it's a different kind of open. And what happens in terms of somebody calling, the hotline? Walk us through that.
Right. So when we say we're open, it means we're still providing all of the services. So if a caller calls a hotline and requests counseling, requests legal advocacy, requests shelter, case management, the hotline coordinator will then contact the director of that department, and that client will still receive whatever it is they need to help keep them as safe as possible during this time.
Now, how does that work in terms of, obviously, people are stuck at home, possibly with someone who is abusive. How do you do that in a safe way? How has that changed?
Right. So we provide phone counseling now instead of having the client come to the offices. We do provide phone counseling, but we do have to make sure with the client that it is safe. There are some clients who are not able to receive those services on a regular basis because they don't have the ability to find a quiet, alone time to have that phone call. If that's the case, we give the client the hotline number and we ask them to call at any time if they have any ability, and we will connect immediately to a counselor. But we are providing phone counseling. We also are providing video conferencing counseling, again, for clients who are safe. Typically, that will be with somebody who is not living with the abuser. It's just very different now. Clients were able to leave. They were able to give us a call or come to the office. They could call us on their way in the car. They can call us, driving their kids to school or going to the grocery store or just saying they had to run an errand, and that doesn't happen anymore. So we're very flexible also on the timing. If somebody can't call in on their scheduled time, when they call, if we're available, we give them the support at that time.
Right. Loretta, talk about, you were talking about the shelter is still open. Can you talk about how that's set up at the retreat and the other locations and what that looks like now?
Yeah, so the shelter has 18 beds, and it's men, women, and children. And it's been pretty full. It's staffed 24 hours. We have a 24-hour hotline, bilingual. So A shelter is really, the shelter's where our clients go when, they flee in the middle of the night and they need someplace and they need a safe place. So we're able to get transportation, get people to the shelter. As soon as, they come there, they have a welcome video, they get their own room, it's communal living, and they are safe there with all the services that we provide. The kids go right into the school system, so there's no gap there. And we've been taking new clients, and we've had a number of shelter families who've been there for some time. We have a couple other offices in Riverhead and in Hop Hog. And then we have a few other counseling offices that are accessible to people in other locations that are undisclosed.
I was going to say, yeah, undisclosed. This has to be a very challenging time. In terms of the courts are closed now, and if you need an order of protection, maybe Regina, you want to talk about that? How is that working in terms of, protecting people?
Right. So yes, we actually are able to still provide the support for an order of protection. They do it virtually, where the client calls in, does the intake, the advocate will take all of the information, then they will contact the court, they will give the court all the information, and if they need to do a video conferencing, they will. If not, the court will just take the information, they will deem, whether the information provided is enough for an order of protection, whether it's a refrain from or stay away. The client will be called and they will be, protected. It's fascinating that, we can do all of this for our clients, even in this difficult time. Again, a difficulty for the client is that they have to have that time safe and available to speak with the advocate, speak with, any of the court personnel. So it's still challenging, but we do what we can.
And Regina, in terms of, are there certain code words that people use if they're really stuck? I mean, how does that work? If you're stuck, I always hear about how, victims of abuse are often isolated by their abusers. And now, ironically, we're isolating and sheltering at home. And it's it's not a good, obviously that's even more challenging. So I guess my question is how do you navigate that if you're someone at home in a situation, whether it's ongoing or it's a new thing? What kinds of tips do you give people in that circumstance?
Right. So I know the idea of a code word is actually, very helpful. In typical times right now, it's a little more difficult to have a code word. So if you let somebody know that you need help, and especially if it's not a professional, that person may not really know exactly the route to take to help you. And then the route to take is actually not always the safe one right now. We will often recommend that a client find a friend or a family member or somebody who's supportive, that they can go to their home. They can, if they need to get out of a situation. At this time, that's not, with social distancing, that's not typically an option. So really what we are providing is information on how to keep yourself safe in an unsafe situation. And sometimes it's giving them advice to, keep the peace as much as possible, find a safe room in their house, find, safe activities that they can do with their kids. And then in the meantime, while that's happening, to plan for what comes next. So, get the documents in order, get bags packed and hidden if you can, get that support system ready. We also recommend that a client have somebody that they are in contact with on a regular basis, hopefully daily, a family member, a friend who knows what the situation is. And then if that friend hasn't heard from that person, to check in. So there's always, that check in. We're also very on top of checking in with a client who doesn't call at the time they're supposed to. We will then, which we typically always do, follow up, but we will make sure we follow up to see if there's, a crisis occurring. But unfortunately, right now, the idea of leaving is much more difficult. The idea of getting that outside support is much more difficult. So it's really
right.
A time to plan for hopefully the soon. Hopefully the
Yeah.
changes will
Yeah.
come soon.
Loretta, I want to ask you, in terms of the services there, do you charge for the services? Are they, is it a something's free, something's not? Tell us how that works in terms of
You know,
somebody calling into the retreat.
all our services are free, and they always have been, and we keep it that way because it's one less barrier for our clients. You know, we work with a lot of vulnerable populations, but whoever it is, we're there for them there's no fees.
Fundraising this summer, I know, might look different. I'm thinking in terms of, your big gala is in June, right?
Yeah.
All against abuse. How is that going to work? What does it take to operate the retreat, I guess, is my question. And how are you going to move forward with your fundraising? Because it's such an important organization, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe talk about that.
Thank you for asking that. And yeah, fundraising is a big issue for us. We have a lot of grants. We get a lot of government grants and contracts and foundations and individual donors. We have a lot of community support. So we're really thankful for that. But we're going to have our event on June 13th, and it's actually going to be a virtual event. So it's an experience that you'll be able to participate in over a week, and on that night, we'll have somebody not disclosed yet who will be our featured guest, and we'll be interviewing a survivor, and you'll be able to participate on all different levels through social media. And that's what we hope to do, but it's been tough because we have these events, and they're usually the way that we raise money through fundraising. And it's going to be very different this year, but we're positive about it.
Right. That's great. Well, we'll put that information up at the end. I just wanted to say thank you for all that you do. And Regina, if you want to add anything that people may need to know about the retreat and about being safe and getting help in this time, you can do so now. Anything else we missed?
Of course. Yeah, of course. No. So the retreat is available. Our hotline is 24/7, and we are helping. It may look different, but we are there. We are there to help. We're there to support. We're there to guide, give information. So please, if anybody can give us a call. And also, we also give advice to others to help family members. So if somebody calls the hotline and needs a little advice, we can help. We also will help secondary victims help their loved ones.
Loretta, in closing, if someone wants to help the retreat in any way, what is the best way for them to go about doing that?
The best way for them to go about doing that is to look at our website, or you can donate to the retreat 91999. But we have some volunteers, but basically right now, it's really the fundraising that we need just to keep our services going. I mean, we're part of, during the pandemic, we're getting a lot of calls every day on the hotline. But our feeling is that when we get back to our new normal, there's going to be a surge of calls because many individuals don't have access to their phone or to their computer. And so while we're first responders now, we feel we're really going to be part of the recovery.
The 24-hour hotline is 631-329-2200. And we are going to have more information following this at our end credits. And Loretta Davis and Regina Mysliborski, thank you so much for the retreat efforts and for being with us at Facts at 5. We appreciate it.